Number 3, Ohio State is at Wisconsin in Madison. Now, they walk into this thing favored by 14.5 points, but there's going to be already some blood here, right? Luke Fickell is one of Ohio State's own, right? Not just as a nose tackle there, right? Playing for the vaunted John Cooper. You will not, you won't impinge the name of John Cooper with me because that man coached at Tulsa before he got to Ohio State. Point is, Luke Fickell became a great nose tackle for them at Ohio State and then became a great coordinator for Ohio State, the kind of which that can shepherd you through a 6-7 season, stay on the staff, go 12-0, best 12-0 team that never won a national championship. That's a documentary that I personally want to make. And then 2014 helps you win a national championship. Does this outstanding job at Cincinnati, right? Turns them into a college football playoff team when no Group of 5 team had ever achieved that, gets hired over at Wisconsin, and brings in Mike Tressel to run the defense and Phil Longo to run the offense. Now, neither one of those things has clicked the way that Wisconsin fans hoped they had. Tanner Mordecai seems to have taken a step back from what he was doing at Southern Methodist, and that offense is still one in which he's trying to be as accurate as he can. Like the book on Tanner is that he's got one of the highest football IQs of any quarterback that anybody's ever seen. It's just getting his brain to do what or getting his body to do what his brain says to do on every occasion. Now, you also got Braylon Allen back there, and you're going to try to run the football on this Ohio State team and really take the life out of that offense and not let them work. But I already think that it would please nobody more than Luke Fickell to get a win against Ohio State and wreck their undefeated season. And after what we saw Ohio State have to do against Penn State, we wonder, are you going to show up with full force? And are you going to be able to put Wisconsin away early? Because you haven't basically since Notre Dame. You looked sluggish and looked like that game was going to get out of hand for you against Maryland before you decided to pour it on. And then Penn State, it was just slow and steady, but the slow and steady was also Marvin Harrison Jr. You got to double cover that guy. That guy is not just Ohio State's best chance to win a Biletnikoff Award since 1995 when Terry Glenn did it, but also its best chance at a Heisman winner. He's that important to what they do. And I say this because Manny Diaz was calling his defense based on what Marvin Harrison Jr. was doing on a football field. Because they could not because they could not single cover him and bring an 8th man into the box, they had to let Ohio State sort of kind of try to run the football. And even when they tried the single coverage, all the first rounder, that is Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be, did against the first rounder that Kalen King is going to be, is beat him. And there's nothing you can do about that, right? If that guy's that good and you can just throw the football up to him, that's where the football's got to go. And Kyle McCord seems to know that, right? I remember it was like Deshaun Watson and DeAndre Hopkins back at the Texans. Hey, where's D-Hop? I'm going to throw it to him. That is what Kyle McCord is doing. And I think their friendship and their playing together since St. Joe's in high school is really starting to pay off. You can see why that chemistry is so important. And frankly, I think it gives them an edge in this game. I'm also looking at this, and I found this really fascinating. Marvin Harrison Jr.'s got 42 catches, 766 yards, 6 TDs on the number 3 team in the nation, right? Best player on the 3rd best team in the nation. Only one Power 5 wide receiver has more yards, more TDs, and plays on an undefeated top 10 team. And he didn't play last week, right? Or excuse me, the week before last. That was Roma Dunze, right? So right now, it feels like it's got to be Marvin Harrison that you're looking for to go beat Wisconsin. And you got to know that Luke Fickell's already trying to draw up something nasty to take him away. But it will also, let's say he goes for 200 in the next 4 games and just blows everybody away on the Heisman competition. He'd be the first non-quarterback to win it, or since Devontae Smith, and just the second since 2016 to go along with Heisman winner at Ohio State, be the first one since Troy Smith in 2006. But it's about the defense at Ohio State, which is not something that we thought we would say coming into this year. I remember Ryan Day doing the show, Big Ten Media Days. I asked him about the defense and the step that it needed to take forward. And he said, look, we think we could be as good as 2019. Definitely our best defensive unit since 19. And Jim Knowles in year 2, that's supposed to be the leap year. And it has absolutely been that year. They limit explosive plays, right? They're keeping the ball in front of them. They're making tackles in the open field. They're doing what is necessary to keep teams out of the end zone. It ain't always pretty, but with the safeties finally understanding their roles in that defense, they're playing lights out and they look great. I mean, Tulsa's own, Owasu's own Josh Proctor out there making it happen. I mean, Jordan Hancock did this show years ago. And I asked him, what do you think your ceiling is? He's going, I just want to start at Ohio State. He's doing that, and he has taken away some of the best wide receivers that Ohio State is going to face. High key, Jim Knowles, nominate for the Broyles Award, because that dude is definitely once again in the running to win the damn thing. And again, that opens up on November 13th, and they're going to take those all the way up until conference championship weekend. I'm going to pick Ohio State in this one. I don't know if it's going to be 14.5. I think Wisconsin's a really good football team, and that's a lot of points against them, especially two teams that are going to take their time, right? We're going to load the box, try to stop Braylon Allen. If they can't, it's going to be a long day. We're going to try to take away Marvin Harrison Jr. and make you beat us on the ground. We'll see what happens there. Also, flat out, something I just did not mention, but I'm going to mention now, is Ohio State beat Penn State without Emeka Egbuka, which I didn't think was going to be possible. And I just completely forgot about it because Marvin Harrison Jr. was that important. But you get Emeka Egbuka back, say nothing of Travion Henderson, right? And you get your full assortment of offensive weapons. It's easy to see how Ohio State becomes a national championship contender, let alone a college football playoff contender, and maybe good enough to beat Michigan in the game in November, which I am fired up. Going to do another live tailgate for that. Really excited about that. Michigan fans should be excited about it too, because every time I've done that, Michigan wins the damn football game. I don't know why y'all upset with me. I'm your lucky charm. So let's go from Ohio State and Wisconsin to the big game, for me at least, in the SEC this week. It's number 1 Georgia versus Florida. Now, the world's largest outdoor cocktail party is everybody's favorite. Games played in Jacksonville, right? Both Florida and Georgia get up for it, and both Florida and Georgia hate each other, right? That's why we get up for it. I love it when two teams get to line up because I don't like you, and they get to go play football. But this one is interesting because Georgia's still favored by 14.5. I don't know if the Bulldogs should be on upset alert, but it can't hurt. And the reason it can't hurt is I want to know who steps in to the Brock Bowers dually, fires up the Cummins in the 1-ton and says, hop in, boys. I'm going to hit you. I'm going to tow you. I want to know who's going to strap on the Brock Bowers backpack and say, jump on my back. I got you. Now, my money right now is on Dejon Edwards, right? Because I think that dude at tailback is great, right? I also was having a hard time thinking of the last white running back at Georgia that was really great. And I'm still trying to think about what that could look like. If y'all got it, let me know. Hit me in the YouTube comments, hit me on the tweets, because Cash is out there making it happen, right? And I'm going, all right, cool. But if Dejon Edwards can do what he has done in recent weeks and run for 150, feels like he can go beat this Florida's team that is surging. Graham Mertz finding his way. I didn't think the Florida was going to be any good after they lost to Utah. It turns out Utah's a good football team, right? And then I picked Tennessee to beat Florida. And what did Florida do? Show me the middle finger. Instead, we going to stop up on Tennessee, RJ. And so if they go into this game with that same attitude and that same intensity, I think we could see Georgia get beat down. I mean, look, it's a team that was down to Auburn until Brock Bowers put on his backpack and went to work for you. It is a team that was down at halftime against South Carolina, and South Carolina ain't nobody. Ain't nobody. No. If you do that against this Florida team that feels like it's playing some of its best football, you could take an L. And I docked Georgia to number 2 because they haven't been dominant. Michigan has been dominant. Georgia has not. I wonder if we'll already reach the point in the Georgia journey where they are bored with winning. That's dangerous. I don't think Nick Saban's the Alabama team got bored with winning until 2013. Okay? You got a couple of years before you get to get bored with winning. And knowing that you could be the first program in modern history to win 3 consecutive national championships, that's enough for me. But you know what? It wasn't enough for the U.S. women's national team. They mailed it in round of 16, got beat down, got toe up for it, and then want to act like, oh, you're coming after us. Yes, we're coming after you because you're supposed to win the whole damn thing. Same thing with Georgia. You don't get to be bored with winning. You certainly don't get to be bored with beating Florida in this game. So you'll get up, I think. But if Brock Bowers is not there to bail you out, I hope Dejon Edwards and Carson Beck can, because you lose this football game, it's really difficult for me to pick Missouri or not to beat you the following week. And then we're talking about who plays in the SEC championship game, right? That's what we're talking about. So you need to get this win so you get the cushion. So you go with one loss in the SEC title game. Yeah, okay, cool. You're going to get in the college football playoff, but you're playing with fire. And you're playing with your undefeated record. And why would you do that? Why would you do that? Have people going, they were better when Stetson Bennett was the quarterback. I don't know, dog. I wouldn't want nobody to say that about me. You know, I would want to be like, no, we got the guy that we want at quarterback, Carson Beckman, waiting his turn. We got another 5-star behind him, and Brock Vandegrift got another 5-star behind him, and Gardner Stockton. But it would beat Georgia to have your best two teams be led by the walk-on. But you know what? Maybe that's the way Kirby Smart draws it up. So I'm picking Georgia to win this football game because I think on talent, they can win. They should win. But don't come out sluggish. And don't do that thing where you're down at halftime, because that ain't going to be no good luck. So if you go down at halftime against this Florida team and you win, I think the College Football Playoff Selection Committee might think about ranking you number 2, just like me. I'll also add one more note here. Monday, Michigan became the national title favorite. I've had Michigan as the number 1 ranked team on my rankings since September. RJ, Michigan. And you're playing with that now, Georgia, because now the books are betting against you. Come on now. I need you to come on with the come on. I need to see if you actually want this challenge, because we're not giving out number 1. And I'm certainly not going to hand you a national championship. Nobody is. Not this year when we got this sort of parity, just 1 through 10, right? So come out, show us what you're made of, put Florida away in a hurry, and sit on them like you did Tennessee last year, right? See what we got after that. All right. Let's go from the big game in the SEC to the most intriguing game on Saturday for me, which is Brigham Young University at number 7, Texas. Now, a couple things on this one, right? The first one is, what does Texas look like without Quinn Ewers at quarterback? We have an answer for that last year. With Hudson Card, they looked fine against Alabama and then not great, right? Hudson Card's at Purdue doing what he can. But now, we're probably going to get the Malik Murphy experience precisely because Quinn Ewers forgot that he plays quarterback, tried to lower his shoulder against a man that plays defense, and that man just T-fied on him, and now you got a sprained joint in your throwing shoulder with no timetable for return. Son, you play quarterback. Slide. But now we get the Malik Murphy experience, and I love Malik Murphy's game. I love Malik Murphy's game since he came out of the same high school that Tom Brady went to, California. I'm watching him in CIF. That dude's got all the tools, right? Super talented. 6'5", throws the ball on time and downfield. And he ran one hell of a fake to get CJ Baxter just wide open, parting through the Red Sea against Houston to get that go-ahead win or touchdown for the win against Houston. But should Arch actually start this game is a question that Steve Sarkisian has had to field and will continue to have to field. And I understand it. Like, the quote that he gave in his press conference leading up to this game was, Arch and Malik will both get a ton of reps. If the game was today, Malik would start and Arch would be ready to come in. Look, if the game was today, it's doing a hell of a lot of work here, right? But I also thought it was interesting that Steve Sarkisian wanted to play Arch against Rice, but didn't get an opportunity to throw him in there against Rice. Still got the 4 games that you want to play a 5-star quarterback because, well, you want to keep him happy. And everybody wants to see the 5-star quarterback, but producer Tyler made this point. Has that worked? I mean, outside of Trevor Lawrence, has that worked? No, it really hasn't. And Malik being a redshirt freshman who's had a year in the system and really wants to be at Texas, I think this is going to be a great opportunity for him. And if he plays really, really well, maybe we got us a quarterback controversy by the time the game ends. But it's also going to be against a really good BYU team, or at least what seems to be becoming a really good BYU team. Like, I was looking at it. Before beating Texas Tech for their first Big 12 win against a legacy Big 12 opponent, we're talking about beating up on Southern Utah and Arkansas, among others, right? Arkansas ain't nobody this year. It's tough down there. They had to fire Danny Eos as offensive coordinator. But they also got 5 turnovers against Texas Tech last week to 0 for Texas Tech. I don't know if you're going to get 5 turnovers from Texas. I don't care who's quarterback, right? So you're going to need Keaton Slovis to come on with the come on, right? You're going to need LJ Martin to come on with the come on. Get something out of that Cougar offense to try to give yourself an opportunity here. And you can do that because Texas has a scoring problem and a big play problem here of late, right? So we saw against Houston alone, 6 pass plays of 21 yards or more allowed by the Texas defense, including 1 for 51. And we saw Texas's offense really stall inside the red zone. There were 4 trips inside the red zone for Texas last week against Houston. They scored a total of 24 points in those 4 trips. You got to finish with TDs in there. You have to. If you give BYU the same opportunity that you give to Houston, chances are Kalani Sitake is not going to call a sprint rollout with the game on the line. Probably going to go, quarterback sneak or run the football on 4th and inches instead of trying to throw the damn ball. I'm still mad about that because Texas should have lost that game, but Houston lost it for them. That said, I'm picking Texas to win this football game. I think Texas is still the second best team in the Big 12. And if they keep up their end, Oklahoma keeps up theirs. We get a rematch of these two college football playoff title contenders. And then we get to see which one probably makes it into the playoff. And we already know the select committee thinks highly of the Big 12. How do we know this? Because Texas Christian went in the Big 12 title game undefeated, took a loss, and still got the selection, and then was vindicated when they put 51 up on Michigan's head. Okay? All this talk that I'm talking about Michigan, that's the thing to remember, is once they get to the big game outside of the Big 10, they have not been able to win it. Ask Georgia about that, right? So Texas takes care of BYU is the way I see it. If you like what you've seen, consider subscribing to the #1 college football show on YouTube, the Fox Sports app, or wherever you get your podcast.